محمد رسول الله.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. US, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I welcome you to another edition of Islam and Life. Today, we're going to go into a very important discussion on the state of Muslim education in Ghana. Practically, how we can provide the assistance for the underprivileged in our society, specifically the Muslim community. We all know that one of the key challenges facing education of the Muslim youth has to do with the issue of finance, financial support for some of our brilliant but needy students. And yesterday, the National Zakat and Sadaqa Trust Fund, together with the Student Loan Trust Fund, took a very important journey. And today we're going to discuss that important collaboration they had. Fortunately, we have both CEOs with us, the CEO of the National Zakat and Sadaqa Trust Fund and the CEO of the Student Loan Trust Fund. Sheikh Armiya Shaib is not just only the regional manager of Islamic Education Unit. He was recently at the Night of Power adored as the new chief executive officer of the Sadaqa Trust Fund, or Zakat and Sadaqa Trust Fund. And I'm sure after that this is his first appearance on my show. And we are also fortunate to have Madam Sheila Nabuama herself, a very humble woman, I must say, to be with us today. It's a long time I hosted a non-Muslim lady on my shows, very long time, and so I'm very, very proud today. So Sheikh and Madam, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You can call her Hajia.
Hajia, yes, yes.
I like
but
that.
Already, in all the instances I met her, she appeared more of her, and she always wanted to associate with the Muslim community and so many things. Okay, so Sheikh, maybe we should start with you.
Right.
Officially, you are now appearing on our show, so maybe tell us briefly the state of the Zakat Fund, how it's doing. So at least briefly.
Yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and thank you so much for the opportunity. The Zakat Fund was established with the instrumentality of the Muslim caucus in Parliament some few years ago, and it is supposed to give an institutional base for the twin concepts of Zakat and Sadaqa in terms of its collection and disbursement in such a manner that it will respond to the long-term needs of Muslims who are less endowed and their lives need to be changed. So in one way also it's a departure from the old norm when Zakat collection and distribution has not taken into consideration the long-term needs of the people. So it's been distributed in such a way that it did not fulfill its purpose, the divine purpose for which it's been established. So Zakat has come and it has responded to the needs of Muslim students who wanted to enter the tertiary institution, because that is the core objective, to give financial support to Muslim students who are brilliant but they are needy. We assist them to get into that.
I was going to ask you that, because when you talk about Zakat or Sadaqa, it has so many things it has to do.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, to what extent is the fund concentrating on students? I mean, do you see financial support for needy students as your core?
Yeah, in fact, looking at the range of needs that our people confront, we think that the one which is the bane of our development is education. And so therefore, in terms of our excuse me, in terms of prioritization, we have put education at the top. So that's where the chunk of our support, goes. Then we also look at medical bills of people who are in dire need, children and some women. And then we also look at issues of empowerment, economic empowerment of women particularly, who are those who cater more of children.
Even that one is still linked to education.
Exactly. Because when women are endowed, they take care of children, very well, as opposed to some men, majority of men who will run away and live with children.
That is correct. That's a fact.
That is
a fact.
That's a fact.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that is where we connect, so in a very critical manner, with the Student Loan Trust Fund. So what we are doing now, then we provide a second tier support. In fact, the student loan now will be our second tier support, where we guarantee for them. The first tier is to even see them into school, and then.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you, bring into discussion into the student loan transfer thing. What was the need for that? Is it that right from the word go, you know very well that you will not be able, the Zakat Fund will not be able at this moment in particular to support all the people in need, and so you are looking for other options to assist you. Is that the reason for?
Yeah, exactly. As I'll call it an infant, organization that has started maybe giving support. We have a need actually to expand, the base of our collection in order to also expand the scope of our distribution. We have not been able to expand very well to the level that we can tell ourselves that every Muslim student will be catered for. I don't think that we will.
Do you actually have pressure? A lot of requests comes your way. People are always applying.
Oh yeah, the office is inundated with applications. When we open the door for students to apply, the rate at which the applications flow in, and even those who have gotten to know that we could give some financial support for economic empowerment. I remember that the last letter I read was a woman who said she was doing bakery with some children around her, and she lost her money, and so she's now requesting us if we could support her to revamp her business again. And there are so many others who come. Yeah, so probably Auntie Sheila will come in again, and then we'll look at what actually necessitated this kind of partnership, which for me is very key.
All right, then let's go to Madam. Madam, you're welcome to Islam and Life. We say Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Okay, so Madam, obviously we have to tell our viewers what the student loan trust fund was about before we go into other discussions. So
thank you very much for the opportunity, and I deem it a very big honor to have the opportunity to bring this message to the people we wanted to reach. The Student Loan Trust Fund is an agency under the Ministry of Education, and so we provide services to all tertiary students in Ghana who are Ghanaians. This is a social intervention that is meant to improve access to tertiary education. You know that, like Sheikh said, the bane of our development is education. In fact, it's the foundation that we need to get right. If we get education right, a lot of the social problems we are dealing with can be better managed as a country than we currently are doing. Many of the hazards of sanitation, of crime, of everything else that we are confronted with and are struggling to deal with can be minimized with proper education. And so we at the Student Loan Trust Fund is making it possible for many Ghanaians who otherwise would not have gone to school to take this subvention from government and to progress through any form of tertiary education of their choice. The Student Loan Trust Fund support is not only to public institutions, but also to private institutions and any institution that qualifies as a tertiary institution. The law that set us up states that once the institution is accredited by the National Accreditation Board and the programs are accredited and has Ghanaians there, they qualify to benefit from the support that we are disbursing. And so it is in light of this that we go into some partnerships to improve access. We also have in the law some requirements to be met. You must understand that we need to set up structures that reduces abuse, fraud, and what have you. And if the system is not properly couched, some of these things can even collapse the fund. So one of the key requirements of every applicant, it's the requirement of a guarantor. So this is a legal requirement, but again, this is a challenging requirement, especially when it was only SNIT contributors. Many people who have family members who do not contribute to SNIT struggle to get guarantors to guarantee for this very important service. And so at some point, the fund had to diversify the guarantor base and to include the participation of some very critical bodies, such as religious bodies, to stand in for their members as guarantors and ensure that many more of their members could access the fund. So those are some of the things that we are putting in place to make accessing the loan a practical reality. Let me use your practicality for many, many Ghanaians.
Okay. Thank you very much. What it means is that now the Zakat and Sadaqa Trust Fund will now come in, standing as a guarantor for such students. Is that what it means?
Yes, and more.
And more, okay.
In fact, what it means is the partnership we have come into with Zakat comes a long way. The very first time these discussions started was way back. We have gone back and forth. We have had to, go through a lot of negotiations and streamlining processes to make sure that once we make the decision, both institutions are protected. Zakat is a registered, legally registered body with a perpetual existence. And so when they guarantee for people, Muslim citizens, they are taking some responsibility should that amount go bad, should the person default. And so we needed to put in place mechanisms that minimizes that kind of exposure. And that is why sometimes processes take long. I know that on several platforms, hither to Zakat coming on board, Sunset had been doing it. And
under the Office of the National Chief Imam.
Yes, under the Office of the National Chief Imam. And you talked about demand. Sunset was overwhelmed with numbers. And it is in that regard that we are happy, extremely delighted that Zakat came on board, because we felt that the numbers that Sunset were handling was overwhelming. From everywhere across the country, Muslim students were coming to Sunset to guarantee for them. And once Zakat has come on board, it helps to minimize the pressure and to diversify within the diversification.
Let me ask you this, based on your interaction you've had with Sunset, and I'm sure with the Muslim community, do you feel, at this, are you convinced that indeed a lot of Muslim students brilliant but needy?
Extremely brilliant, extremely brilliant. And if you look at the poverty statistics, we know, as a matter of fact, that the poverty normally, the three northern regions, is improving though, but significantly poverty is predominant in the three northern regions, aspects of the western region, and interestingly, the central region has a lot of schools, but the central region has great, and even Greater Accra. Some of the worst poverty statistics are in Greater Accra. When we live here and we are bombarded by nice cars and restaurants, we forget that there is a slum somewhere where even when it rains, just this minor rain, they can't even move. So for them, issues of education becomes like a luxury. And it's some of these social interventions that gives their children hope to dream of a life beyond a certain level. So when we make this information accessible, many more parents know that, okay, if my child makes it beyond this, government can support me to push them further. And that is the reason why we are happy to be on platforms like yours, because we need that message to get to the many market women who are too busy to know that keep encouraging your children, give them hope, let them study, let them get the best results, and the sky should be the limit with support like this.
So tell our viewers, somebody has the word, it's this for tertiary students, as you said. He completed this, he has a very good aggregate. But the money to even send a child to the university is a problem. What is the message for such parents?
The message for such parents, especially if you are a Muslim, is the fact that you are a step ahead. Because interestingly, the Student Loan Trust Fund does not give money to applicants before you get enrolled. But the collaboration we have with Zakat even makes, that's why they say two heads are better than one, even puts Muslim students ahead of the rest of the tertiary students. Because the Zakat and Sadaqa Fund, before getting into this arrangement, were supporting Muslim students
for the entry.
With the entry requirements.
That's correct.
And so that helps us deal with that gap among the Muslim community. Once they do that and they get on board, then we can take it from there. Because a lot of the people who do not even make it at all is because they couldn't come up with that initial registration requirement. Today in the Daily Guide, there was an article about the rising cost of education, and some of the statistics are in there. And some families legitimately have wards with brilliant results, triple A's and B's in some village schools, and you wonder, how did they make it? My child is here with all the teachers, and they can't even pass exam. You know, and yes, and we must give it to them. And they are in some very deprived school, and the kind of grades they pull out, for such kids to fall out of school is a big national loss, and no Ghanaian must allow that to happen. And so we are happy. We really feel that we complement one another as a state institution and as a welfare organization to promote the issue of access, not only for vulnerable students. Anybody can be vulnerable. My child can become vulnerable tomorrow if I lose my job. So vulnerability is not limited to a particular segment. But luckily, that's the Muslim community has the support to cushion them, and therefore they should take advantage of it.
Wow. I'll come back to Sheikh.
Yeah.
That's a good news for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, but
I was always bothering with so many applications. And, you know, there's this student you paid for the admission at Legon, a very poor guy from a village. In fact, he went to where he had his basic education. There's no light there. He had aggregate 6, came to Presec and started. And fortunately, you paid for his admission at Legon. But then the second year, I thought we were going to continue. And I was told that no, the pressure is so much that we can only pay for those two. So the continuity. And fortunately, he actually went to student loan transfer.
Exactly.
We managed to. It was not easy getting a guarantor. So in fact, it's a very good news.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So to what extent are you happy with this?
I mean, seriously, because for me, it's a matter of duty and responsibility. Education, like she has already mentioned, is key to social transformation. Yeah. It's important for development. It adds your own confidence and personal pride, your personal dignity, and so on. And that's why Islam makes it incumbent on a Muslim who wants to live life in its fullness must begin on the road of education. Yeah. And so for us, doing what we are doing and knowing how education has become so expensive at our time, so therefore many poor parents are unable to give education to their children. The reason why our community is suffering certain tagging or certain stereotyping. And so therefore, for us to restore unto the Muslim community its dignity, we have a responsibility to do what we are doing. That's the way I see this, apart from the fact that it also makes a contribution to national development, to give skills to people, knowledge, and so on. So the human capital aspect of it, poverty reduction, and so on and so forth. So for us, it's a duty. A story of somebody who told me, Sheikh, if I told you I was born and raised up at Bobolochi, will you agree? Then I look at him. I look at the man sitting in front of me. Telling me that. So, you mean it? So what has changed him? Education. Yeah. What are the frustrations that students go through? You know, Islam is a religion of compassion. A religion that must give hope to people. Put smiles on people's faces. So if you look at the frustrations that they are going through, so from this angle also, we think that we need to put smiles on the faces of these people. That's why we are excited. In fact, more than the student loan. Because it has opened another door, a domain of service that we can offer. Apart from the main one, the core one that we are doing, this one has given us another domain, of service that we can offer. Therefore, also broadening the scope, of opportunity for Muslim students.
Okay, so let me say that you can bring your views, your particular questions. Madam is here, don't wait for it to go there. Next week you start asking your questions. Bring your text messages on the lines that are screen on the screen, and then they would answer the questions for you from the student loan trust fund and from the Zakat. So somebody's in SHS right now, far away in Upper West, Upper East, and let me say that they watch us a lot. And I know the text message will reveal that. So he's got a good grace, genuinely poor.
Right.
And I must emphasize that. I was asking Madam earlier on, that is it for everybody? He said, no, brilliant, needy students. Yes. So what is your message for such a student? I mean, probably he has no hope of you continuing.
Great opportunity, a door of hope, has been opened now through this partnership and through the institutionalization of the Zakat and Sadaqa Trust Fund of Ghana. Okay. It comes, to provide that kind of hope. Luckily, together we are even thinking of having a program targeted at GIMSA. Muslim students that are spread across almost every institution in this country, especially the Form 3s, which are prospective beneficiaries of the two systems. So together, we target them at the end of the year when they are preparing to leave school, so that we now educate them and give them this information, that in the Student Loan Trust Fund and in Zakat and Sadaqa Trust Fund of Ghana, they have hope. So the duty now is for them to take the step,
make sure they get good grace,
apply to the Zakat Fund. That's the first thing. Our system is that to avoid abuse, because we know many people will want to abuse the system. They will not be honest in themselves. They are not in need, but they want to come. And so therefore, our project system is that you apply, we come down and make investigations about your financial background. When we are convinced that truly you are genuinely in need, then we'll bring you on board. When we notice that there's a lie in your case, we will only list you for a record. For a record. I have a report of somebody who came to apply, and we paid money to him. He didn't go to school. And later when I
paid the money, he
didn't go to school, but he took the money. Yeah. And now, so we have him on our record with his picture and everything. In fact, we cite him as one of the bad examples. As one of the bad examples. And I'm saying this on air for people to know. We are interested, both of us are interested in the credibility. In fact, these are principles or virtues that we share in common, values that we share in common. You know, institutional credibility is something that we hold so dear to our hearts. And that is why even the recovery thing, we are so much keen in it, how we can assist for recovery and the payment of the loan that is going to be given. Integrity and reliability and honesty is something that both of us are interested in giving hope to people, but that we will put in place checks and balances that reduces the risk of abuse, that will reduce the credibility of both institutions.
Okay, I'll come up to you. Let me come to Madam.
Right.
If you're not able to finish our discussion, as for you now, we'll get you, because Madam is busy. But she has even told me at any time I call her.
Oh, she will come.
Madam, all right. So now, after a candidate successfully go through the first process of getting admission through the support of the Zakat Fund, what will you do then? Because the Zakat Fund will not pay the fees again.
No. Okay, so what we do is we have constant engagement with tertiary students across the country, and we have zonal offices across the country, and our zonal officers are aware that this partnership exists. So anytime they're engaging students, they would inform, especially the Muslim students, that if you can't find guarantors, we would assist you to work through Zakat to be guaranteed for. Once that guaranteeing has happened, they would offload the application to us. We process the money and give it to the person. We apply just once, and then we will support you until you finish school. And I just needed to add a little bit to the repayment issue. You see, the Student Loan Trust Fund, the money we disperse is an intergenerational fund. This money has existed since God knows how long. We all took some. And so the sustainability of the fund is hinged on repayment. When we take the loan, and you know, sometimes people will say, oh, it's government money.
Yes.
But it's government money that is critical to the survival of many people, including maybe your children.
Yeah.
And so we all owe it to ourselves and to the state and to the children we are bringing into the world to make sure that we repay the loan. For me, one good thing about the stakeholders we are giving the loan to are that they're extremely energetic and they have life ahead of them. And so once they finish school, they are equipped with the skills to make sure that they are empowered, they are free, they are liberated, like our slogan, our new logo expresses, and they should therefore take the responsibility of repaying back the taxpayers' support to them when they were vulnerable. So for us, repayment is a very serious issue. And so we're happy even when we go into partnerships with institutions because of the perpetual existence that they possess. Unlike the individual guarantor, because of the record of non-payment and default, or people just get up and travel. So it came to a time, SNIT contributors are very reluctant to guarantee for students.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because when they are going on pension and they are old and they can't even work anymore,
To look for those they
to look for
guarantee
those, then the people have disappeared on them. These are energetic people. They've taken their passports and left the country. And now my teeth is paining me and I'm looking for some young man I can't even chase. And because of many of such occurrences, many more Senate contributors are a bit hesitant. And so we are happy to have some of these institutions, more especially because of the religious connotation to debt. Especially this type of debt. It's not every debt that you can live, you should be able to live with.
Exactly.
And debt that is subsidized. This is not the kind of loan that people
have
take.
big interest and
No. This is protected, it is cushioned, you know, it's like you're in a shell.
Let me ask this question before time. When you complete school, when do you start paying?
When you complete school, we give you 2 years grace period before you start repaying. When you are if you are working, there is a requirement that the employer makes automatic deductions. If you have your own you are informally employed, we have over 380 pay points. We have any branch of the GN bank, you can go with your social security number, repay your loan. Any bank of GCB bank across the country, any NIB bank across the country, any of the student loan zonal offices across the country. You can just go and pay. You go onto your internet portal, you check your balance. You don't have to come to our office. I mean, we have built in very convenient modes. So repayment should never be an excuse.
All right. So unfortunately, our time is up, Sheikh. Sheikh will come again, and if there's a need for us to talk more about the Zakat fund, because now you need a lot of the contributors, Muslims to contribute.
I mean seriously.
Now you put yourself in a bigger, hole. Now that you have brought Madam herself, Madam has said that they've entered collaboration with you. So now a lot of the students will be coming. So we need a lot of Muslims to pay into the Zakat fund. Actually, the numbers are not much encouraging. We can do more.
Exactly.
So
we need more subscriptions.
More subscriptions. The office at Nima.
Newtown.
Newtown, the Nima Taxi rank station. Is it the M Plaza?
Anyone who wants to subscribe should quickly
Bank of African building.
Quickly get in touch with me.
Or Sheikh Amiao. Yeah, that's I think that makes it easier. Yes, get in touch with Sheikh Amiao.
To make more payments, not to come in.
More payments. Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we don't have time. Do you want to say something?
Final words is that there's a lot we can say. These are the channels that people would watch and listen to. And so I would really encourage you to give us another opportunity to come and continue this discussion that is relevant to national development.
Thank you very much, Madam. Sheikh Amir, thank you very much. Viewers, thank you very much. Let's speak another time when we continue the discussion. Assalamu alaikum.
محمد رسول